Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet.
Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kathryn, and today's podcast was suggested by a viewer from Facebook. I hope I don't butcher your name, Kartikeya Behani.
And Kathryn, I have Christopher Cross on the mind today.
Do you really?
Yes, because I've been doing so much research on sailing in the Seychelles. I've had his song Sailing just stuck in my head.
I did too.
Yes, we talked about it. So we're going sailing in the Seychelles today.
And I had to look up where they were because this was a place I'd heard about, but I did not know where it was. And the Seychelles are located about 1,000 miles off the east coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean, made up of about 115 islands. Just a beautiful place, palm trees, clear water, just perfect for sailing.
It was like it was dropped on the planet specifically to sail.
As Christopher Cross said, the canvas can do miracles.
That's right. Getting there is a little bit tough. It's a long flight from the States, but you fly right into the airport in Port Victoria, which is on the island of Mahé, and that's the largest island in the chain.
Yeah, and there's two distinct island groups. You have an inner island group and an outer island group, and the inner islands consist of 41 granite islands, and these form a cluster around the main islands of Mahé, Preslin, and Ladigue.
And the other 72 islands are actually really low-lying islands, and they're made up of sand cays, coral islands, and atolls. And one of the atolls is on the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and that's the Aldabra Atoll, and it's the largest raised coral atoll on Earth.
And the reason, well, one reason it's on the UNESCO World Heritage Site is it's a very pristine place. It's a lot less disturbed than some of the other atolls in the Indian Ocean. It's become a refuge for many endangered species. There's a colony of about 150,000 giant tortoises there.
It has more giant tortoises than the Galapagos, actually, which is really amazing.
Yeah, and they're about the same size as those from the Galapagos.
I think it's the same breed of tortoises.
Yeah, and they're really strict nature reserve because of that. So if you're going there, you have to get authorization from the Seychelles Island Foundation in advance before you visit.
Yeah, you have to have written permission from them. So we suggest, if you want to visit this island, to reach out to them as soon as you decide to go there, because we're not sure how long it takes to get this written permission.
Exactly. And once you get there, you're going to have to go with a guide. You can't just be wandering by yourself.
Yeah, you can't just walk around.
Check things out.
Yeah. Another island that's also on the World Heritage Site is the Vallée de Mai. And legend is, Kathryn, that it's the Garden of Eden. It has about 50 acres of these massive cocoa de mer plants, which have the largest seeds of any other plant in the world. And the leaves on these plants can grow up to about 20 feet wide and about 33 feet long. I mean, these things are massive.
Wow, and I was reading that, you know, the fruit of the plant would just wash up on other places, and they didn't know where it was coming from, so they thought that this came from a palm that actually grew in the water.
Which is where the name came from, Coco de Mer.
Wow.
But it's also home to other animals. You know, it's a wildlife park. So there's other birds, and including the rare Seychelles black parrot. There's other mammals. There's crustaceans, snails, reptiles.
Just a plethora of things to see.
Yes, and you don't have to have written permission to visit there. It's a nature preserve, so we definitely recommend taking your sailing tour and making a stop here.
Stopping there.
Yes.
And we're going to give you a couple of sailing tips. One is you obviously want to think about, are you going to take a skippered boat or go bareboat? And by law, all the yachts that visit the outer islands, they have to be in what they call the over 60 miles class, and you have to have a captain and appropriate crew, because there's a lot of coral reefs in that area, so you have to be a very experienced sailor to go through that. And it's, as you were saying, a lot rougher in the waters out there.
The water's rougher because you're a little bit further out in the, open waters when you get out into the outer islands.
Yeah, so if you're thinking of the bareboat experience, you probably want to stay in the inner islands, which is gentler, and they're fairly close together, so that makes it really nice. You can just go to the next island, stop off, get
jaunt
off.
from island to island.
Exactly.
And then also things to consider, some of these islands do have access and landing fees, because some are private islands and then others are national parks, like we just talked about. So plan ahead. And then keep in mind that, especially if you're going to be touring some of these outer islands, that only 3 of the islands have water and refueling facilities, and those are all inner islands. And it's the Mahé, Praslin, and Ladigue. So you definitely want to keep that in mind when you're plotting your course.
And where could they find information on all the fees and all this sort of thing?
There's a great website. The Seychelles Board of Tourism has lots of great sailing tips, and we'll definitely put links to all those on the blog when we get that up.
So we hope you've enjoyed our visit to the Seychelles, and we're going to have a blog, as we said, plus you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. If you've been lucky enough to go to the Seychelles, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love that. And, you know, big shout out to Christopher Cross.
That's right.
He was part of the inspiration for this as well.
He sure was.
We'll see you next time on the coolest stuff on the planet.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit HowStuffWorks.com. Don't forget to check out our other podcasts, free on iTunes.